Hello there, everyone. My name is Laetitia Mouly, a recent graduate from a Master's in Medical Education, and today I will briefly present my project entitled Exploring the Curriculum and Opinions of Medical Students on Their Teaching of Sexual Harassment, Insights from One Medical School in the UK. And the goal of this short talk is to show you the key findings and how you could potentially implement those in your institutions. So to start things off, what is sexual harassment? Sexual harassment is defined by the Equality Act 2010 in the UK by unwanted conduct of a sexual nature which has the purpose or effect of creating an intimidating, hostile, degrading, humiliating, or offensive environment for the complainant or violating the complainant's dignity. There is international evidence highlighting how medical students are a victim of sexual harassment, with 16 to 75% of students reporting sexual harassment during their training. However, the majority of the evidence we have on how to best teach sexual harassment to medical students will focus on their performance as healthcare professionals caring for victims of sexual harassment. And there is a lack of evidence on students' learning needs around sexual harassment as carers and victims. So to answer this gap in literature, we're going to try and answer the question of what are the views of medical undergraduates on their sexual harassment curriculum at one medical institution. And to do this, we aim to firstly explore a sexual harassment curriculum during one academic year, and secondly, we collected medical students' thoughts on their current curriculum, any ideas they had for improving it, whilst taking into account the influence of their personal characteristics. So to answer our research question, we conducted a qualitative research project. We performed documentary analysis of the sexual harassment curriculum, and we also conducted semi-structured online interviews of medical students. These interviews were transcribed verbatim and analyzed by thematic analysis. And of course, this project received ethical approval from the local institution where it took place. So on to our interesting bit, our findings. So 4 medical students were interviewed, and in conjunction, in triangulation with the documentary analysis, 4 main themes emerged. Firstly, students reported being disappointed by their sexual harassment curriculum. They described that this was taught in a context of stigma and fear heightened by the medical hierarchy. And this very powerful citation on your right-hand side by one of the participants really illustrates this theme. Secondly, an idea was to teach sexual harassment to medical students, but by including both the context of their university life and of their clinical work, because they can both be carers and victims of sexual harassment. Thirdly, medical students' personal characteristics, especially gender and age, are significant in their experience of sexual harassment, highlighting the intersectionality of an undergraduate's experience of harassment. And finally, student well-being needs to be a central focus of the sexual harassment teachings. So how can we now use our themes and our findings to create useful recommendations? So firstly, to tackle this disappointment in the curriculum that is taught in this context of stigma and fear, an idea would be to embed activities on safety by instilling active bystander training, which can help shape the culture away from the accepted normality of sexual harassment. Bystander training is not new and is implemented across European and American universities. Secondly, to teach sexual harassment to medical students, the preferred modalities were student-led small group and recurrent discussions using case scenarios to highlight the seriousness of sexual harassment. Also, to tackle this intersectionality of an undergraduate's experience of harassment, embedding sexual harassment teaching across the medical hierarchy for students, staff, all the way to hospital leaders can be seen as contributing to the broader agenda of gender equity and diversification of medical education. And finally, to maintain student well-being at the heart of what we do, we need to use transparent and accessible reporting tool to create that safe learning environment where students will feel supported by their institution if they were to encounter sexual harassment during their training. So to conclude, this study offers a first insight into medical students' views on their sexual harassment teaching in the UK, which are currently being embedded in the local curriculum. Importantly, these findings lay the foundation for ongoing work towards eradication of harassment in medical education. Thank you very much for your attention.